Super Smash Bros. Every fanboy's dream. All of your favorite Nintendo characters beating the crap out of each other in the classic locations where the goal isn't to get opponent's health down to 0, but to knock them out of the park. That's fun. Super Smash Bros. Melee improved upon this system with more characters, more stages, improved physics and graphics, and a nostalgic adventure mode. What more could you ask for? Now Nintendo and Hall are taking what is possibly the last shot at a Smash Bros. Game on Wii with Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now let's take a look at our modes. We have our group matches, which are your normal skirmish matches, solo, where all of your single player adventure modes are, your Wi-Fi mode for online play, then you have other stuff like vault, options, data. Group mode is a good place to either practice against a computer or fight a few friends. Like previous games, up to 4 players can engage in a free-for-all, team, or coin match. When you're making your match, there are various options. You can play under a time limit, where whoever has the most points wins. You have stock, where whoever is the last survivor wins. Then you also have your special brawls, which allow you to add certain conditions to the fight. All of these modes can even be used together to make for some crazy fights. This has been a staple of the Smash series, so what makes this time different? Well, there are even more items this time. Some of my favorites are the different kinds of bombs, the cracker launcher, the hammer, and of course the Smash Ball.
The Smash Ball, if you didn't hear by now, basically lets you do your oh my god, totally awesome finishing move. And it adds more depth and personality into each and every character since they all have a different finisher.
One thing people complained about in Melee were the clone characters in the game. For the most part, Brawl has addressed this, but you will still know some similar characters. Now this doesn't mean they're carbon copies. For example, Ganondorf and Captain Falcon, while their movesets are similar, Ganondorf is slower and more powerful, plus his final smash is completely different, so it gives you enough of a reason to change your strategy between the two characters. So they're not exactly clones, but then you'll have characters like Link and Toon Link, or Fox and Wolf, where besides a slight difference in attack power or style, they're almost exactly the same, including their final smashes. Still, the cloning isn't as bad as it was in Melee, and the 35 character roster is reasonable, even if someone's favorite character didn't get in. At first, the graphics might not appear to be much different from Melee, but if you take a good look and compare 2 screenshots, you will notice how detailed and beautiful this game looks. All the character models are very well detailed, and the backgrounds are just breathtaking. This is one of the few Wii titles that actually take advantage of the Wii's technical capabilities. Another thing that's new are all the different control schemes. You can either play with a Wii Remote and Nunchuck, classic controller, or GameCube controller. Most Smash veterans will tell you that the GameCube controller is the best option, but in my opinion, anything with a stick will do. The buttons can also be customized in the options, so play around with it and choose the style that suits you. Now, what can I say about the single player mode? Well, let's start by diving into the adventure mode, or the Subspace Emissary. But before I do, let's take a look at the previous adventure modes. In Smash Bros. 1, it was a series of versus matches and other challenges, until you got to Master Hand and beat him. It was simple and it worked. The adventure mode in Melee took it even further and made it a full-scale adventure where you travel to your favorite Nintendo worlds, and at the end of the road you face the boss of that world. It was epic, nostalgic, and fun. Now Subspace Emissary takes the concept of adventure mode and made it bigger. There's even more platforming to be done, and you'll be fighting a lot of small enemies along the way. It even comes loaded with gorgeous cutscenes explaining how this unknown force is trying to destroy Nintendo World. To be honest, the story isn't all that deep, and some of the new enemies seem uninspired, and sometimes Subspace can feel a little repetitive. But it still plays out really well, and compared to the previous adventures, it's huge. It seems to be more focused on the platforming aspect, so it's a nice change from all the skirmish fights. The boss battles are also really awesome. The mode can also last 5 hours, give or take. And most characters can be unlocked upon clearing the story. The other modes making a return for Melee are the Classic mode, All-Star mode, which is your endurance challenge, the Invent mode, and the Stadium mode, which all have different challenges aside from just fighting. So now, more than ever, will the single player keep you busy for hours to come. Oh. Now, whatever you do not buy Smash Bros Brawl for the Wi-Fi feature. With all the delays for this game, I was hoping Nintendo would put more effort into a great online experience, but it kills me to say, the Wi-Fi in Smash Bros is just poor. It's very disappointing. In the Brawl Anyone mode, there's no stat tracking or leaderboards, which doesn't give you much of an incentive to play online in the first place, and no matter what, you're stuck doing a 2-minute brawl. Not to mention it lags. Luckily I was able to find a decent match in this footage, but sometimes it can take more than 5 minutes to find a match. I mean, what happened here? Was their budget too low to add some of these extra features? Can they fix the lag maybe? I mean, take a look at Mario Kart Wii. You get to see who you're racing, where they're from, and you can accumulate points and compete in tournaments. Or even in Mario Strikers Charge, the Wi-Fi is better, which was released before this game that had seasonal leaderboards. Now, fighting friends online usually fares a little better. It doesn't lag as often, and you can do a co-op stadium, which is actually pretty nice. And the options are customizable. But still, the Wi-Fi feels very underwhelming, and one would think Nintendo would make better Wi-Fi for the Wii's contender game of the year. But do not fret, there is still plenty more to do in here. Again, the local play is a lot more fun than the Wi-Fi will ever be. The stages are awesome, some are big, some are small, some are breathtaking, and some are bright and colorful. And of course, the Melee stages make a return. It's a nice selection, but that's not enough. You can even create your own stages. The stage editor is pretty simple. You can drag and drop things at platforms, traps, music, backgrounds, and there you go. If you feel creative, you can make some decent maps. If not, well, your maps will look about as good as mine. Still, it's another feature. There's also a lot of collecting to do. There's trophies of your favorite characters, stickers to collect, masterpieces, which are demos of your classic games, and music CDs. Speaking of music, the soundtrack in Brawl is gigantic. You can also control how often a song plays in the stage, which is pretty cool. Brawl unquestionably has the best gaming soundtrack on the Wii. So even with some minor faults, Brawl is a freaking huge game. There is enough extra content and modes to keep most fans of the series entertained for if not months, years. For me, it was definitely worth the wait. If it weren't for the Wi-Fi, this game would be pretty much perfect. So if you were never planning the Brawl Online in the first place, it's your buy. There's really no reason to turn this game down. So that's about it for today. Until next time.